The Temple of the Dosh Kalin. That's where they'll have taken her.
What is up, everyone? This is Mercedes coming to you from the Awesome News Network, and I'm here to give my thoughts on the Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, titled The Book of the Stranger. Now, there will be some spoilers in here, so if you haven't seen the episode, go watch it real quick and then come back later. Alright, time for the rundown. Two Stark children are finally able to have a happy moment. Peter shows how much control he has over Robb and Arryn. Tyrion pisses off pretty much everyone by trying to keep the peace with the Masters. Daario and Jorah have some adventures in Vasto Thrak. Margaery is finally allowed to see Loras and tells him that she will not let the Sparrows win. Cersei and Jaime are able to convince the Tyrells to raise an army against the Sparrows. Theon goes home and is able to prove to his sister that he's there just to help her get the throne. Ramsay kills Osha before she can kill him, while also sending a letter to Jon threatening to kill everyone he loves if he doesn't give him back Sansa. And finally, Daenerys proves that she's at the top of the food chain once again by stepping out of fire. Boy, does this show understand build-up. But before I get to that, I'm going to start by talking about Jon Snow and Sansa at Castle Black, as well as a little bit of Ramsay and Winterfell. Poor Jon. Like, his entire world is... it's topsy-turvy right now, and he's just trying to catch his bearings, and everyone is just pulling him. Edison wants him to get everyone ready for the White Walkers. Sansa wants him to fight the Boltons for Winterfell, and he just wants to chill. He's really struggling with the fact that he's followed his father's rules, be just, do what's right, even if it's not the popular opinion. And it got him killed, much like it got his dad killed. And he doesn't know what to do with his second chance. He just wants to chill, and it seems like he's actually capable of convincing everyone that he's just going to rest for a bit. He's not going to fight anyone. But that is, of course, all ruined when Ramsay, in classic Ramsay fashion, sends him a letter essentially threatening Jon and everyone, all the wildlings, everyone he loves, if he doesn't give him back Sansa and Reek. I think Reek was mentioned in the letter. Of course, no one knows that Reek is actually over in Pike. So, yes. And that essentially gives Jon, he's a good guy, so he's, of course, gonna try to build up an army to actually fight for Winterfell. Which I guess also leads to Peter Baelish in this episode, who stops by to visit Robb and Arryn, the man-child who controls the Eyrie. And he essentially, flexes his muscles and be like, hey, I was going to go bring Sansa to the Littlefingers, and then we were attacked, and only you know about it, Lord Royce. And Royce is like, don't play me like that, especially in my own house. But Peter just looks at Robin, and Robin's like, oh, have you betrayed us? And Royce is like, oh God. Now I realize who actually has the real power in the area right now. And, Peter's using that to his advantage, and he's actually got Robin to build up an army so that he can attack the Boltons, which is great because that's a relatively large army, and with the wildlings and whatever bannerman Jon can get, I'm pretty sure Ramsay and the Boltons don't have any chance of beating them, even with the Umbers and the Karstocks on their side. Oh, and I guess also, side note, Melisandre and Davos are back to not liking each other. Davos is like, so what are you going to do now? And she's like, I'm going to follow Jon because he's the prince that was promised. And Davos was like, I thought Stannis was the prince that was promised. And she just shuts down and walks away before they're interrupted by Brienne, who's like, I remember the shadow demon that killed my friend, and I'm also the one who killed your friend, so I guess we're even. I still don't like you, but we're even now. I just wanted to be out on the table, which, oh, Brienne has no tact. But that's not what her character's all about. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for that side of the story. Then there's the Pike story, which was pretty much all set up for whatever's happening next. Theon and Yara talk it out. Well, Yara yells at Theon, he cries and says he's sorry, and then they come to terms or whatever. Then King's Landing, you see Margie talking to the Sparrow, and that story was stupid. He's like, oh, I wanted wealth once, and I worked really hard for it. And then I had parties, and one time I went to a party with my friends and some whores, and we had so much fun. And then I woke up and I was surrounded by naked people, and that's when I realized that my life wasn't worth anything. So I just left with no shoes and went to go spend time with peasants. And I'm like, really? That's your coming to the light story? I don't buy it at all. And then he lets Margie talk to Loras, and Loras is a mess. Like, I can only imagine, like, they slapped around Cersei and Marjorie a lot. I can only imagine what they're doing to Loras, who in this story seems to have the biggest sin out of everyone by being gay. So yeah, so he's just like, just make it stop, and Margie's like, no, I'm not going to let the Sparrows win. But then later on, you find out that Marjorie will be making a Walk of Atonement, which, can we, I guess, we always go, what would happen if a religion actually followed its text to the T? And this is the answer. You get a group of crazy people who just, it's ridiculous. I can't fathom a world where an adulteress and a murderer is given the same punishment as someone who lied for family. It's not like she lied for power. It's not like she lied for anything. She lied to protect her brother, which should be an admirable thing. Get her a little slap on the wrist, be like, shame on you, move on with your day. But no, she has to do the Walk of Atonement, or the Walk of Shame, as I have dubbed it. And I can't even imagine. So Cersei and Jaime are able to use the swear advantage by convincing Lady Onella to raise the Tyrell army to attack the Sparrows at King's Landing, while also having their uncle Kevin step down, make sure that none of the Kingsguard or any of the Lannister men are going to be putting up arms to fight the Tyrells. This seems too easy for Jaime and Cersei. Like, I can't help but feel like this is some big scheme to completely shift all the power in King's Landing back to Cersei. It's like, I can't help but feel like the Tyrell army is going to get at the door, and like Jaime and Cersei will have it set up that they fail. Like, somehow, everyone's going to die, and Marjorie, Onella, like, everyone that's been opposing them since the beginning is going to somehow end up dead. Or the other side of that coin is the plan is going to fail. Like, their backup plan to get control back is going to fail terribly, and all it's going to result in is their deaths, and probably Tommen's death as well, which would be a satisfying ending to those two. At least Cersei. I don't know about Jaime. He goes in and out of being a character I actually enjoy having on screen. So yeah, up next will be Across the Narrow Sea, where we find Tyrion trying to keep the peace with the masters and the slaves while Daenerys is away. And just poor Tyrion. He's the only diplomat in a world of warriors, and he's just trying to prevent unnecessary bloodshed until Dany can come back and then kill all the people that she wants. And it's just Missandei and Grey Worm are just not working with him on it. I mean, they accept his choice because Daenerys did put him in charge. Well, she made him her advisor, which leads him to be the person in charge while she's away. But they are making it so obvious that they are not fans of it. And you know what? Shout out to the guy who plays Varys, who didn't have a single line this episode, but we still knew everything that he thought about the situation just from his body language and facial expressions. So yeah, that guy's brilliant. So yeah, poor Tyrion. But he did get peace for now. There's no telling if anyone's gonna hold up their end of the bargain. But as we've learned, Tyrion is really good with the long game and is relatively competent at outsmarting everyone around him. So he probably did buy them enough time for whenever Daenerys gets back. And finally, we end at Vaes Dothrak, where Daario and Jorah are trying to get into the Sacred City to try to save Dany, who apparently didn't need their help at all. She made a friend with one of the Dashkaline, I think that's what they're called, the Widows of the Khals, one of the younger ones who's also technically an outsider. And she's like, they're about to save her by killing them. She's like, no, stop. I got this. Trust me. Just hide and you'll know when you need to come. So we go forward a little bit and we see her in the temple of the Dashkalim talking to all of the calls, and they're trying to decide what to do with her. Some of them want to, use her as a whore. Others want to sell her to the masters that want her. And then, of course, the main guy from the season, Carl Morrow, I think, he wants to just leave her with the Dosh Clean. That's where he believes she belongs. She's a widow of a call. And she's like, I'm good on all of those fronts, actually. Instead, I'm going to take over the Dothraki. Which, they're like, really? Really? And how are you going to do that, little girl? And in the cool, unburnt fashion, she burns the hut down using the torches in there, which is hilarious because it's great to see Daenerys do something awesome without dropping all of her titles. Like she didn't say anything like I'm better than all of you, blah blah blah. She literally just said that you're all small men with little dreams, and I have big dreams and I'm gonna do them. And she just sets the fire, and they freak out and they burn down. And this episode ends with her like walking out of the burning building, of course naked. What can you do? Cloth isn't fireproof. She is. Cloth isn't. Fine. And all of the tens of thousands of Dothraki that are there see her and then kneel to her because she is once again their Khaleesi, which is great. Now she has an even bigger army. She's probably gonna use them and roll up on the 3 slave kingdoms, take over again while leaving them behind to make sure to keep the peace. And actually, being able to do so this time since they will have the numbers for it. And she'll be able to go back to Marine, get her baby dragons, and hopefully get on the boat. Because God knows it's really time for Daenerys to get back to Westeros. All in all, I really enjoyed this episode, and it does have me really excited for some of the stuff that's coming up. I'm really looking forward to the Battle of the Bastards, which is probably the big fight scene that the showrunners were talking about during the off-season. And then, of course, just seeing where everyone else goes, how Daenerys' homecoming goes, the confrontation between Sansa and Peter, and if that's going to lead to some issues with Jon being able to use the Aerys soldiers in his fight against the Boltons. And then, I guess, how the Tyrell attack on King's Landing goes. We're halfway through this season, and it's all rearing up for something really big and exciting. So what did you guys think? Did you enjoy this episode? What are you looking forward to that's coming up? Why don't we discuss in the comment section below? And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out the Awesome News Network's Facebook page, which is your one-stop shop for news when it comes to movies, television, anime, comics, and gaming. You have a good one, guys. Until next time.